Hello everyone. Good morning and let's welcome the last Monday of May 2024 with a brand new episode on my podcast Monday Morning Muse. My mom is a victim of ILD and every 3 months we have a visit to the hospital to check the progression of her disease and to make sure her rheumatoid count is in control. So every 3 months, almost one whole day goes in the hospital meeting the RA specialist and pulmonologist. And every time I go, I always look at the doctors with so much awe. Of course, I'm scared of them when it is something relating to me. But when I sit there waiting for my mom's appointment, I see the doctors rushing from one room to another, patient after patient, and I think how much they go through to make our lives better. For me, there have been many instances in life so far, either for my family or myself, where I've literally kept a few doctors close to God. I am a commerce graduate, and science was too much for me to grasp when I was in school. But then, I grew up to be more studious and responsible after entering college and worked hard enough to enter into banking and financial sector after college. And when they were looking for marriage prospects, I was keen on getting wedded to someone who is into my stream so that he understands the pressure of month end, year end, and sleepless nights. Not even in my wildest dreams I wanted to get married to a doctor. But they say, right? Life is what? When we are busy planning. I was planning on my future husband, and tada! God gave me a husband from a super science background. And even better, a family full of doctors. Like how my husband is an exception to that by entering into IT, I was an exception in their family by being a commerce student. I am used to the scenes of seeing laptops even after shift hours, but I was totally new when patients used to come in looking for my mom in law late in the night, even after 9 or 10. And in a casual discussion, my husband said, as a kid, he used to walk in the middle of pregnant women to enter his house after school when my father-in-law used to practice at home after his duty at hospital. And one day I asked my father-in-law, why doctor and why gynec? He said, the joy of the family when he first handed over a newborn child made him decide to choose this field. I was moved. And I could personally relate to it when I was pregnant myself. Until 7th month, I just used to go for scan and send my reports to my father-in-law. But after that, when I moved to Trivandrum for delivery, I was referred to Dr. Shyamla by my dad-in-law. She was a sweet old lady, a woman of few words, and most importantly, who never appreciated me googling my symptoms or pregnancy researches. She was a bit old school, but she was so dedicated. My date was 13th and I had an early delivery, that is on the 8th, and she had gone for her relative's wedding on that day I was admitted. If it was someone who was not so dedicated, they would assign me to some other doctor who would replace her absence. She did the same thing, but what added my confidence and my respect towards her? Every 1 or 1.5 hours, she used to call to my room and spoke to the nurse who was with me throughout my delivery. She made sure, even if she was not physically present, to check on my progress and instructed my nurses. And at some point, I was tired and I couldn't take it anymore, so I asked to be moved to the OT. She was super clear on making me deliver the natural way and she made me do it, even if she was not present there. And the day she returned, she was in my room, holding my little one and talking to my family. While there are doctors like this, there are some people who bring disgrace to this profession. I can state with the same pregnancy example. I was not seeing a doctor, but my father-in-law insisted to go to a very famous hospital here and let myself checked once. And so I did that. They told me to take a few tests and wait at the lobby. After the reports came, the nurse took the reports to the doctor and she signed it off and the nurse handed it over to me. Please note, I didn't even see the doctor. She just signed it off and gave it to the nurse. I was like, that's it? And the nurse said, yeah, seems okay. And I spent hours there waiting for my turn. If you're already agitated as I am, the best part is yet to come. I was on my way home and I got a call from the hospital. Guess what was the ask? You visited the hospital, but seems like you didn't pay the doctor's fee. I was like, what? I told her I should pay the doctor's fee if I got to meet the doctor, right? The doctor didn't even see me. She was like, the doctor has signed your reports, so please transfer 600 to the following number. I was super annoyed, hungry, and tired all at the same time and didn't want to argue with that female, so I transferred the amount. But how wrong was that? Similarly with my mom. Right now, she is seeing two gem of doctors for rheumatoid arthritis and ILD. But before that, my dad used to take her to one doctor for RA mainly because of proximity reasons. And one visit during my dad's absence, I took her. That man didn't bother to even check the latest blood reports out of the file. And before even looking at that report, he started writing down the medicines. We waited for that person to land in the hospital for 30 minutes, then 30 minutes for our turn, but we came out of his room 5 minutes max. And what did he write? The same medicine he had prescribed the previous visit without even checking her current blood reports. And one fine day, her health worsened. At a point where I realized this is not going to work out, I Googled. Sometimes Google Auntie is genuine. And I took her to a 5-star rated doctor. And he looked at the reports dating back to 2005 and he made notes for himself and he got my mom back to life. Every 3 months, he wants a fresh blood report. He makes her do the 6-minute walk test, which apparently he had invented as a replacement of pulmonary function test. That's for the people with severely damaged lungs. And a comparison is done on the progression of her disease. And till today, I repent for not taking my mom to him at an earlier stage. We had a similar experience for my son too. We took him first to a doctor who gave him antibiotics at 5 months without even asking us to hold on, check how the other medicines work for him. And when she did that again, I Googled. And again, Google Auntie didn't ditch me. She showed me a 5-star doctor. The first visit, I was impressed. It's been 2 years now and there's been no looking back. She reminded me of my pediatrician as a child, Mr. Mohanizo. I used to love going to his clinic. He used to have 3 or 4 jars of chocolates with which he welcomes me. Then he shows me his latest collection of toys and stickers. We play with the toys and then he asks my dad what is the issue. Such a sweet way of dealing with kids, right? And my son's pediatrician is now a similar sweetheart. Many a times we don't even visit the hospital. We send her the recordings of my son's cough and she gives us the syrup and my son is up and running in 3 days. But you know the pity side of doctors? The hit on their personal life. Especially for those who take their profession as a service quite seriously. My son's doctor sometimes takes just 5 minutes break between patients and she gobbles down her lunch in her cabin, that too around 3 o'clock. The receptionist apologizes saying the doctor was held up throughout the day, give us 5 minutes break, she's having her lunch. Or for my gynec, she was on calls throughout for my delivery, even while attending her family event. They might have to rush in the middle of their sleep without even looking at their watch if there is an emergency they have to look at in the hospital. The long hours and stress, it can be physically and emotionally demanding as they have to work including weekends and nights. And they do it putting their health and happiness in the back seat just to make sure we live a happy life. How wonderful. But again, it's only for those who see this profession as a true service to humanity and not as an investment opportunity to take home the amount spent on their education. For them, one thought might change their outlook. The patient is a human being who has come to them with a lot of trust. They trust you equal to God when it comes to saving lives. Money can be earned, but loss of life due to neglect, it might prick you at a later phase. A good doctor can mean the difference between life and death. A good doctor is someone who gives happiness not just to the patient but a ray of hope to the entire family. If everyone thinks this as a service and not misuse the power of their caliber, world will be a happy and healthy space for the generations to come. Did you have any life-altering experiences with doctors? I'm all ears. Do let me know in the comments box. Thank you for listening to this episode and I hope you liked it. Request you to subscribe, like and pin your comments on this episode. I will be back again next Monday with another episode of Monday Morning Muse. Until then, spread peace and take care. Lots of love.